Just getting this live stream started.
Great.
Drop the link.
So remind me how is Barry was Adam contact? Is that how we or Matt?
Does Pets like enablement to Shopify, something like
Mm.
that?
Do you know, has he seen the
I believe
platform?
he has seen a demo of it. Yes.
Okay. We can confirm that. I just want to kind of know
Sure.
if he has some context of kind of what we're about.
Let me just drop this link. Okay. I'm gonna hit record as well. Perfect.
Oh, that's interesting. It does put a little YouTube
It
thing
does. If
up
you
in the corner.
same with recording, it will have that as well. If you hover there, you can see them both.
I suppose it's good to let people know that they're that they're being exposed to the world.
Yeah. Dog out. Yes. Get in that corner, buddy. Come on. Come on. Get in that way. There you go. Get a little disoriented as he gets older.
Yeah. So this is a soccer tournament thing you're going to next week. Is that what it is?
College auditions.
Oh, auditions. Yeah, got it. Got it.
It's the Chicago
I
one
remember
where
you were doing some of the traveling soccer stuff there for a while. Like, all right, yeah,
there's that
now it's the
too.
audition stuff. Yeah.
We actually just decided to skip the tournament in March because we're going to go see my other daughter's show. She just got cast as a
Uh,
lead in a play. So
how many schools are you doing?
she's applied to 25. I think there's probably
Oh my
nine or 10
God,
that she's auditioning for at Chicago. So it's
really?
easy. It's a crazy. It's
Wow,
all in one hotel. It's insane. Oh, here he is.
that's a lot.
It
That's,
is. Hello, Barry.
great. Hello.
Hey there, how are you?
Great. How
Doing
are you?
good.
Thank you
Yeah,
so much
meet you
for
guys.
likewise. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Beth.
Yeah.
I'm the Chief Customer Officer at Mayahana, and John is our Chief Technology Officer, and we're excited to talk to you today.
Wow, that's great. You guys know my good friend, and I'm so glad to be here to be able to connect and learn from you and answer any questions you might have.
Amazing.
Great.
And you came to us through Adam, is that right?
That's right.
And you've had a
Yeah.
chance to see a little bit about what Mayahana does and what our platform is used for, I hope.
I do. Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Good. Yeah, I just want to make sure of the context of that. So what we're going to show you today is some early prototype work. So we're kind of thinking about kind of what's coming next for us, or possibly coming next, and wanting to get some feedback from from some real folks out there on which pieces of that they think would be kind of interesting and valuable or not. Um, so
Cool.
there's kind of three kind of areas of focus, and this is going to be one where we're really looking at sort of that high level piece. Again, this is pretty early prototype work. So there's a sort of a piece where, as you've kind of seen in sort of the demo Adam did for you, that we're kind of today doing something that is more of a single session based piece, and we're looking at how to bring that into more of a workspace where you can be having sort of a series of sessions that might happen over time where you're kind of carrying data across those as you have sort of more of an ongoing project or initiative. So
Yeah.
that's one of the areas. The second area is looking at how to make it easier to create sessions and how to support people in doing that. So looking at how we might bring in some AI to help on that. And then the third is around looking at a little bit more of a desktop-based collaborative mode for sessions. What you've seen so far is, a little bit more of a formal workshop mode, right? Where you have like, I'm the facilitator and you're the participants, right? And everyone's, got their phones and has the very simple interaction. We're kind of exploring having something that's a little bit more collaborative where everyone's kind of in the browser, having not sort of a separate presentation screen and being on your phone, but having that all in one place. So we're going to do kind of jump in and look at kind of those three pieces, and are kind of just interested in getting some again some high level feedback on, does that make sense? Does that something that you think would be valuable? Is there our approach kind of making sense? Again, it's early prototype, not really looking for things like look and feel or those kind of things at this point. So. So let me jump in. So this is what we're thinking about in terms of a dashboard where we could be looking across multiple workspaces that could correspond to some different projects we're working on, right? So I might have one that's just private for me. Here we have sort of a quarterly planning project that might be going on. The one we're going to look at a little bit more in depth is this competitive product response project that we have. And again, the idea that each of these workspaces might be linked to like a channel in Teams or Slack, right? So that we're not looking to kind of replace the collaboration you're already doing there, but kind of supplement and be kind of putting into that, right? With the idea that we could be having some actions that we're tracking across those projects that people are doing, and sort of a feed of some of what is happening and some communication, and again, that would be kind of pushing into Teams or Slack. So that's the whole high level dashboard on that. Let me kind of jump in and look at the what it might look like at sort of the beginning of one of the individual workspaces. So again, currently we have sort of these just our single sessions, and we're looking at that idea. Can we have a flow of that where maybe in the past, on this project, I've already had some pre-read materials that maybe I posted for people to look at asynchronously. We had kind of this initial analysis meeting. I'm guessing Adam probably showed you some of the takeaway capability that we have in the platform, right? Where I can get sort of a summary of what did happen in that, and then kind of the actions and activities specific to this project that we're working on. Does that concept make sense? What we're talking about in terms of the workspace?
Yeah. I just have I would love to share with you a document that I wrote with AI this morning to align with my boss on outputs versus actions.
Interesting.
We do sales onboarding, but
Mm-hmm.
the concept that you have here around actions is important or resonates with me in the moment, because so I had proposed that in onboarding we would teach to the output. So like technical assessment, territory plan, account plan, value hypothesis, because it was something that we could tangibly observe, write a rubric in terms of what good looks like, and evaluate. And in our environment, how the work gets done, or as you work across the sales process, everybody does whatever they feel like, and the actions are very random,
Right.
changing. So
Right.
do we teach actions in alignment to what the best teams are doing, or do we teach and measure um, with our exam strategy, for lack of a better word, outputs? So
Mm.
the direction from him, and I don't have a point of I do have a point of view, but it doesn't align to him. He said, so I'm like, letting that go. Later tonight, I'll study with AI and my mentor's book and all that nonsense, and figure out if I want to die on that hill or not. But all of that to say, if there was a workspace like this where actions of the best of what the best teams are doing, whether it's
Mm.
SDRs, AEs, et cetera, and I could look at that, and there was maybe even, I guess, what I'm thinking about the activity feed is, would that be like a leaderboard where, when John completed
Mm.
one of those actions, it would show up,
Mm.
and maybe there could be a leaderboard, and maybe this is a bridge too far, but I'm just saying,
Mm.
here's what's happening. Let's say that the action is Salesforce hygiene, or 50 calls a day,
Mm.
25 emails, and 2 discovery calls. Those are the actions.
Mm.
But when we go in and we inspect the Salesforce hygiene, of course, people aren't taking the notes, they're not filling out the med pick
Right.
skills, all the the whole story, right? We've all been
Sure.
around enough to know what I'm saying.
Mm.
And my CRO sent me a book. I wish I had it here, but it says How to Motivate People from Age 10 to 25. The reason he sent me is because I'm 52 and
Mm.
I'm managing learning and development professionals in their early 30s, but we're
Yeah.
teaching people that are early in career. And
Mm.
so
Right.
when you force them on the outputs, you grade them on the outputs, but they're very random in terms of what they do day to day.
Mm. Right.
And if you're not holding them accountable, all of those kinds of things. So I just
Right.
wanted to share
Interesting.
in a moment how it
Yeah.
would be
Interesting.
relevant to me. And I don't know if that is what you were trying to do or say, but
Mm.
that's how it would be relevant to me. Is
Interesting. Yeah.
I'd love to come to this board and see actions, and then have the activity feed, just be like a
Yeah.
big fat Twitter feed with a
Yeah.
leaderboard.
Right. Yeah. The
Because,
leaderboard idea, part of that's interesting. Yeah.
but the
Definitely a sales. It's one of the things salespeople love for sure.
yes, because they're coin operated.
Yeah. Yeah. Beth and I used to work at a company together where our CEO used that phrase very much to talk about salespeople. So
Oh, and
he used the, yeah.
it might be um uh sorry, I'm replying to my boss.
Yeah.
The it might be derogatory to say that, but I mean that's what people
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, definitely. Good. I think that's super interesting. So let's we'll come back and see at the end. We'll come back to the screen at the end after we've done a meeting and had generated some actions and see them kind of pop up in there too. Let's kind of move and talk a little bit about this planning assistant idea, right? So the idea that if I am designing sort of my next meeting or session in this, you probably saw what our current platform looks like in terms of how we can choose some activities and put them together and configure them. We're looking at how might we use AI for that to give me sort of more of a planning assistant, a design assistant, right? That might start out and again look at like what did we end up with at the end of our last meeting, right? So the last time we ended up with doing sort of this SWOT analysis, we kind of came up with these things, and it's prompting me on like to maybe think about what I want to do next. If I'm like good at writing prompts, maybe I kind of come down here and just type in a bunch of stuff for it to respond. But if I want kind of need more of the step by step, I can kind of click along and say, I want to do 60-minute meeting next. Here are some of the things it's going to suggest that I might do as sort of the goals based on that SWOT analysis, right? So I might say I want to look at the threats that we came up with and create an action plan, and then starts to get into a little bit of like how would I want to do that? This starts looking at some of the different types of activities that we have in Mayana to run in a meeting, right? So I can kind of make my choices, and then at some point it's going to kind of give me my, okay, here's what I think your agenda for this meeting could be. There's a point I think that we would want to be able to kind of give some potential feedback and say, no, I want to do little things differently, or have a bit more conversation with our agent about it. But if we like it, we could kind of create it from here. So that's kind of the concept of sort of that design assistant. Does that kind of make sense what we're proposing?
Yeah, I think so. Again, well, now that you've shared that with me, it seems like this is for the events team or the learning team who is creating a live session. And in my passion a second ago, was presenting it as if a sales team would be using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one for me on that one. It's like I think there's potential interest for me in both of those. So the idea that anyone is using this to for for whatever kinds of meetings they're needing to run and whatever goals they have is there. But I think the
Well,
idea of a sales team or a sales manager kind of running using this to kind of run some of their sales meetings is one that I've always found as a very interesting possibility, because I think that is a place where being able to help them bring some structure into that, and being able to then have you have some visibility into what people are doing across those meetings becomes pretty interesting.
well, for me, so what has happened is I feel like it's 2006 when I joined Cisco, and things were really innovative, and
Mhm.
we we had money and all that
I
stuff.
remember Cisco then, yeah. Well,
Well, and now that I said it out loud, everything's going to go to hell in a handbasket. But anyway, um, we had 3 good years in the beginning of my Cisco experience where we did a lot of really awesome things. But anyway,
mm,
the sales folks are the they're just doing whatever they want, and it's a bit random, and they're not being held accountable. Um, and oh, I know what I was going to say. We have a culture of no meetings. So
mm,
I didn't know that before. And we don't use email. We do use Slack. And if you and we have this thing called Chaos Monkey, and it comes in every once in a while and looks at all your meetings and auto deletes them. Um, and so that's very disruptive, right? So
yeah.
this now I'm not saying that, and I own onboarding, and of course we do have virtual live workshops and power
Mm,
hours and live sessions and stuff, but in general, um, meetings are a no-no, and
interesting.
doing work uh, is is what we do, and we do it on Figma boards and so forth. But anyway, um, in terms of, like, I guess working through the planning process for creating and designing an event,
Mm,
my team has recently gone through a layoff, and they are risk adverse, and they want rules and strict process in terms of what do we want to do first, second, third, et
hmm
cetera, in terms
Yeah.
of building whatever we're building. And I'm not willing to give them that because it's it's more messy than that.
Right.
So uh, in terms of the struggle that I'm having on my team, one reason that I kind of like what you're sharing here is it would help my team maybe prioritize their work and get
Mm,
into the concept of, there is a next step, but it's one of these four. And in the moment, based on the stakeholder meeting we had yesterday, we're going to decide which one of those four we're going to do, but we're not always going to do them in linear fashion.
Right.
We're going to shift through so that's how it would help me in my job, is to help them transition through change in wanting 39,053 steps checklist to do their
Right.
job so they don't get fired in the future. And to work in the, I don't want to say random, but work in the collaborative, you know what I mean? To realize that there's a couple of things we could do next. Let's figure out one. Here's a great recommendation. Cool. We're all going to go do that.
Yeah. Interesting.
Because what's in my mind about what we should do next is refine common sense. And then obviously what I say isn't what they hear. And then they don't have clarity and they feel like they're going to get in trouble and have a bad performance review and get laid off. So I'm just sharing that because I don't know if that's helpful, but in the moment, I'm trying to explain, trying to share why this might help solve a problem for me.
And I think that's great. Our real goal with the design assistant is to help people who maybe they have some clarity on what they need to accomplish in the next conversation or meeting that they have, but they're not sure how to achieve that. And so, you know, like any other AI tool, you can click in the box in the bottom and write a long prompt, right? I need to work with the sales team about how to, you know, achieve their quota, whatever, you know, the goal is. And then the AI will help kind of interview you to understand, okay, how many people are we talking about? What's the time period? Whatever, right?
Yeah.
Get you to that point where this is the way you could lay out the conversation to help you reach those. All right, if we want to achieve quota, what are the 3 biggest actions we should be taking, right? That kind of thing.
Yes. So and also what's interesting is, you know, this is aligned to Perplexity. So I reluctantly started using Perplexity. What I love about it is once you have a search or whatever, it gives you the answer, but at the bottom, it makes a recommendation on what to ask next. Now you can ask something specific if you want to, but oftentimes what I found is people don't know.
Right.
Or that one, they're so new to AI that they think it's a search field. And two, once they get a thing, they don't know what to ask next, or it doesn't come to their mind to ask anything at all next.
Right.
And when Perplexity at the bottom of the article provides those options, what I do, I've been sharing people, boom, and then click another, boom, click another, then boom, click another, then copy it all and paste it into ChatGPT and tell it to summarize all this crap that came back from Perplexity. And when I see this, that because it's so interesting, because these folks, I'm so disappointed that people are expecting me to write down the exact steps as if we are on an assembly line in the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, definitely. Good. Well, let's do look at what this meeting would look like, maybe. So, and I think it's maybe one where it is again, we are trying to make this a little bit more of a meeting where you would be actually doing some work as opposed to just talking about things, which is definitely part of our point. Let me kind of take this link and post this in our chat. And if you can just, there we go. You can just give that a click from the chat. And we can kind of see what the participant experience for that meeting would be like. And I will continue to share my screen as the leader for the meeting. But this is one where in this more collaborative mode that we're thinking about, this we probably would not, I probably would not be actually sharing my screen. So unlike our current product where we have the formal presentation screen here, this is more of a view where everyone would kind of have that view for themselves, that we would potentially, or even looking at the idea that this would become kind of embedded directly in Zoom or Teams as an app.
Okay.
Um, so I think you're on the agenda now,
Yeah.
and you can see what we'd kind of come up with as our meeting. And the first thing we were going to do is a prioritization exercise. So if we kind of click into that, you can see we have sort of the sort of slider rankings. You may have seen this activity when Adam did a demo. We do have an existing slider ranking activity that looks very much like this that you would do on your phone versus a desktop. If you want to just kind of click through those and give some random choices, don't have to think about really what they are. And
Cool.
when we get to the end of that, you'll see that now each of us kind of get the screen of kind of what what all of the results of that are. Again, a little different here, that as opposed to the just the single shared presentation screen, that we each get our own view of that. Um,
Okay. Can I, sorry.
yeah, no,
Um,
go ahead.
so one thing that I need to go do, because now I am going to build an onboarding program around the actions that we and behaviors that we expect of
Mm,
reps. Um, instead of tangible outputs like a
mm,
technical assessment that we could grade. I don't know
right.
what those doggone actions are. What I was planning on doing was interviewing top performers and low performers, and then
Mm.
uh, using AI to analyze the data and submit, look at the trends. It seems like that I could use this during that. I mean, we do have meetings. I didn't mean to say we don't have ever.
I'm sure you must have some, yes,
Yeah.
for sure.
But none on Wednesday. But anyway, um, then I could then like I could actually do that, and then I could get the initial list of act, act actions,
Mhm.
and then I
Yeah.
could run that session, and then people could vote, and then that would help us prioritize the
That's
actions.
right. Yeah, I mean, our current tool has can do exactly that for you, right? So I'm like, yeah, again, what we're showing now, and it's kind of just prototype, but our current tool has a ranking activity. We have several different kinds of ranking activities, right? So you can do more of a Likert scale, you can do sliders, you can do dot voting. So there's a bunch of different ways you could do that. But that idea that you can sort of brainstorm with your team what all those actions would be, and then think about how to rate them and pick the top ones, is exactly what our tool is awesome at. Yeah.
Got it. Cool.
Good. One of the things that we are focused on is like looking at sort of giving you a little bit of a piece on sort of our alignment. So you can see out of our top three, this one we're not super aligned. You can see Beth is a little not agreeing with us, right? So I might want to convince Beth to change those ratings so I can actually click and let people make some changes in that and say, Beth, maybe, yeah, that seems a little bit more aligned with the rest of the
Okay.
team.
You
I
don't
think we
want to
got
go on the team anymore, man. You're gone. Sorry.
um, and we can see that reflected live. Let me kind of move this along because we are getting close to time. Do you have a hard stop at the half hour?
No.
Okay, we can go a few minutes over. So again, moving this into the idea of then now that we have these risks, can we find some mitigations for these? And again, in this more collaborative mode, the idea that I can kind of click more directly on the screen and type directly, as well as do some simple voting. And there's a like Beth's idea is definitely much better than mine, so I'm gonna give that a thumbs up. Say
When are
maybe
you
that's the
guys
one we need
launching
to look
this?
at.
This is great.
Um, and then to circle back on what we're thinking about in terms of actions and take that and kind of go home, that would be kind of our next step, right? It's being able to kind of add some actions that we would actually take in this. So, right. So um, I'm just gonna delegate and get Beth to do
Come
something.
on, Beth. We're disappointed.
Uh, Right, so we can kind of generate some of these actions, these things that we are going to do sort of right here in our meeting. And then when we're done and end our session, these are going to come back to now the workspace where we're working together, right? So that we can see, again, that we just kind of did this. Here's the session. Here's sort of a summary I can click to get here, kind of my sort of our actions based on what we just came up with in the meeting that are sort of additional.
Mm. So back to the thing that I said at the beginning, which was a bit of
Yeah.
a ramble. Imagine a sales manager has a team meeting at the beginning of the week
Mm-hmm.
on Monday, and then
Mm-hmm.
through that full process, he then would have a dashboard of essentially the activities of the team for the week, and the team
Mm-hmm.
able to do that too. And then so it's outside of Salesforce or whatever else, that wherever you're looking at all the activities, because Salesforce can have some things in there where it lists all the activities you're supposed to do, and then you do the little check mark or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
the problem with that is it's always some standard thing, and things aren't really standard.
Yeah,
It
right.
is in the moment, in the week. Here's what we're going to do by the end of the week, and you have that feed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in this case, the way I would probably structure that is I would have a feed for the manager's team meetings, and it would be not just that week, but ongoing.
Yeah,
So
right.
that would be one of the workspaces, is our team meetings. And so you'd see in the activity feed, every time you meet, you'd have those review summaries that you could go back and look at. Maybe you were out on vacation, you missed one, you want to see what you missed, you could go and click that. So you'd see those outputs that you're talking about. But those activities that people commit to in any given meeting would show up in this feed, and you could continue to track them over time. You'd see the dates. John, if you click the little filter up there, this is just listing all, but you could filter down to just my activities, or you could filter down to, anything that's overdue. So it gives you this one place to see it. And then longer term, we are thinking about, okay, people obviously have other tools that they use. Where are the smart integration points? So if it does make sense to push things into Salesforce or to push things into other project management tools, that's something that we're going to want to explore as well.
Yeah, GitHub is what we use. But the thing
do
about
you? Interesting.
I know it's a product-led company. The thing is that oh shoot, I forgot what I was going to say. I I just think that, I know what I was going to say. I've been a leader for a long time, but I think I might stink at it. But the point is that especially during or after major reorgs, people want to know what they own and what's in their sandbox versus other people's sandbox. And oftentimes I look at things about that we're a team, and we've got a purpose, and we're achieving outcomes. And I will ask someone to do something like develop the assessment strategy, and I will have defined an operating model where actually this other person is supposed to be doing that. But in the moment during a one-on-one, I told someone else to do it because it sounded like they wanted to and they were good at it. And then those two people, they get together and they're like, well, I'm doing that. No, that's in my sandbox. And it causes this friction. And I am already one team oriented, and they're still storming, forming, and norming. I meant no ill will by giving this other person that thing of work, because the person who's actually responsible or accountable for it doesn't have time right now. But if you did this thing right, you could see, Crazy Barry, he assigned somebody this thing, and I've got it. It's like, because I live in a world where all this stuff we got to do, it's really not rocket science. It's learning and development. And like in Agile, hey man, I'm going to do that this week. I know it's yours and you're supposed to do it, but you're busy or whatever, and I've got some freedom.
Yeah, understand. Good. Do you want to
So high level, if you
Or-
kind of take us back, zoom out a little bit and think about kind of these three big capabilities. So one is this ability to see across initiatives or projects and connect those white spaces between meetings. The other, that kind of design assistant. So I have a goal, how do I accomplish it? And the third of let's collaborate together kind of in real time on a shared screen. Talk to me a little bit about your thoughts on each of those.
Um, it seems like collaborate together on a shared screen is something the product already does. Isn't that right?
It's an evolution. So John introduces as right now it's more formal where I am the leader and I have all the controls and I have a presentation screen and I'm deciding what you see when, and you respond on your phone to the prompts when I push them. This is a bit more of a we're going to work together in real time. We're going to all look at the same screen. We can all click at the same time.
Or
There's
cross
still
time.
a bit of control, but it's just a little bit more
Can it be
ad
asynchronous?
hoc. Sorry?
Asynchronous?
It could be, yes.
Yeah. Well,
The reason I asked, could it be asynchronous? Because that matches our no meeting culture.
right. Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely an area that we are kind of exploring as well. With the being able to have these that happen sort of both in meetings and in between meetings, right? So yeah, that would match for you super well. I would agree.
And the other thing is we do, I'd love to have a daily stand up, for example, but I can't because we're across many
Mm,
time zones.
right.
So that would really work out, the no meeting and the multiple time zone thing. In terms of the
Hmm.
design work, I think that's good too, especially for the use case I mentioned where people in learning and development are worried about getting fired because with the macro economy, this, that, and the other, and the early and career learning and development people and all these things, they don't get paid. There's all these reasons why they just show up every single day unbelievably afraid. And to be frank, it's really holding me back, sort of
Yes.
in terms of my frustration with work in today's world and getting people to be aligned to design thinking and next best step, but it's not according to a strict rule. Here's some suggestions, all of that.
Mm,
That would be really, really powerful. But again, the asynchronous nature of it would be very valuable.
mm, mm.
And what was the other category?
The other one is that kind of more dashboard view of like looking at all the initiatives and clicking into initiative and seeing all the
Yeah.
meetings.
Yeah, that would be great, especially on a small team.
Mm.
Because like I said, it gives us the ability to be agile, where you put the stickies on the board and the software developers come in and they
Yeah.
pull
Yep.
and that's what they're going to work on. I mean, as a manager, I could actually, look across the top three things that we call it shipping. Like at the beginning of the week, I actually have to put in a thing that executives review that says, "What are you shipping this week?" It could be a design document. I
Wow.
know, but
Interesting. You really have taken the whole product management style maybe a little far.
well, yeah, and I'm only 60 days in, right? But what are you
Yeah.
shipping? Just like in an e-commerce site, someone
Yeah.
buys a product and
Right.
and it's shipped to them. So
Yeah.
they say shipping, but basically it's what are you releasing or whatever you want to
Right.
call
Yeah.
it.
Sure.
And that's not an actual deliverable for the end user necessarily. It could be a design document, it could be a roadmap, all those kinds of things. And
Yeah.
in that dashboard view, I can see what the team is shipping
Mm.
this week.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
Well, now you just made me
Very
want
good.
the when is this launching? Next week, right?
This isn't all next week, but I think it would be probably good for you we'll have Adam circle back with you to talk a little bit about sort of what our current tool is doing and how that maybe fits in with some of the pieces that you're talking about, right? So I think this again, sort of this workspace piece won't be there, but some of like the session you talked about sort of prioritizing the actions that your team is coming up with. I think that's sort of an easy no-brainer that we can accommodate for you today.
Cool. Would you
And
guys be open to sending me the transcript of our call I think you recorded it, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
I mean, I think
The
the recording.
reason is I'm going to throw it into AI and summarize it, et cetera, and just
Yep.
have it as my notes or whatever.
Okay, very good.
Guys, it's so nice to
Great.
meet you.
Likewise. There, yeah. Well, thanks for your time. It's great to get to see sort of the different things people are doing across different companies and how they might use this. So we appreciate your input.
It's a thing. Hopefully, I only do this for another 10 years, and then it's about time
Yep.
to retire.
I'm I'm with you. So
See you
very
guys.
good. All right. Thanks, Barry.
Bye.
Very great. Okay, that's different.
All right.
Let me end the recording. Stop. And we have your call coming up in a couple minutes. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So we can